All right, so we're gonna go over the first of the two picks in Justin Jefferson here. So he's 6'1", 202, had 33-inch arms and 9-inch hands. He ran a 4.43 at the combine, which was ninth among the receivers. A 37.5-inch vert, which was 13th at the combine among the receivers, and 126-inch broad jump, which also was 13th. So relatively consistent in terms of the measurables. So his route running, I actually thought he was kind of a better short to intermediate route runner. I thought that was, you got good quality there. He has his ability to get feet outside of the frame and kind of work his shoulders, hips, and head just with his footwork. And that is very ideal for an intermediate separator. And he kind of has almost like Euro step-esque footwork at the top of his route, and kind of forces corners into bad leverages and false steps that kind of just allow him to quickly separate into the middle of the field. He has good stem pacing to eat up vertical ground, which is nice, and he can kind of go past some of those off corners or flat-footed corners, which is really good. And it kind of creates some natural vertical burst for him just because you can kind of catch him off guard and by surprise that way. Has a nice vary to his pace, and I think he's a lot better at those in-breaking routes than he is on out-breaking routes. And I think he kind of needs to develop a better instinct for generating just leverage, down the sideline. And I don't think he's an overly physical player. And I think he can get bodied in the contact window a little bit, which is unfortunate. And whenever you saw the scramble drill be going off, you saw, he had a very good instinct for that, which we probably won't be seeing much in Minnesota by virtue of A1 Kirk Cousins. So his release, he was protected a lot by playing in the slot most of the time, and a lot of off alignments. So we do have some questions here because he does win with route running. He wins with footwork, but it's in tight areas he tends to struggle. So just like kind of when he has that cushion, and he uses head fakes and snappy lateral agility to test, generate those softer angles. But I don't think he has elite burst. And corners are often able just to get back into the hip pocket, so to speak, kind of trail him. And I think one way to maybe fix this is just kind of get a little bit more proactive with his offhand, maintain the cushion, and just ensure he can control things. And that could help. Length can kind of get him from aggressive corners. That kind of swallows him up. That's not good. Because, he does have a problem of activating his hands on the press line of scrimmage, which can be a problem. And I do think he has decent shoulder bend and lean, but I think he's kind of just uncomfortable in those tighter areas, which is unfortunate because that might relegate him to a lot of slot duty only initially, when that's where this pick becomes a very interesting pick. But we'll get more into that after I just, kind of go through the player himself. When you get into physicality, just like once the ball is in the air, it's just kind of in his hands. He's tough, so that's good. He's not fearful of the middle of the field. He's fine with that slants post, which is, that's good. And as a stick mover, that's really good to have. So it's kind of like what we were missing when Adam Thielen did leave. Just this one has more speed than, the Olabisi Johnsons and the Tajay Sharps. But it's a very similar kind of mold here. And, because he can hold on to the ball during contact, and he has some run after the catch here, which we'll get into shortly. And he has a lot. He has a high quality contact balance. As a runner, he's able to pick up some of those, dirtier yards, I guess you would call them. And, just a lot of effort and leg drive when you have the ball in his hands. And his hands, I think he kind of erases a lot of inaccurate passes over the middle of the field, which is really good. Super quick and instinctive. Sorry about that. With his hands on just those quicker breaking routes that kind of make, eye-popping kind of strength catches just away from his body, just kind of, any extension kind of catch. He has strong hands. He can pull it in. That's not a concern. Has some pretty good length and can actually, attack the football ahead of defenders when he knows contact is, it's imminent. It's going to happen. So you might as well embrace it. He does that. He struggles with some double catches above his head when he's elevating and may need just improved catch technique there, I guess is a way to phrase it. Just to win more regularly down the field or in the red zone when he was kind of ineffective at times there. His functional athleticism, obviously he's an NFL athlete. I don't think anyone's going to question that part, but I don't know if he's some special athlete that you can be like, oh, look what we have. He is amazing. I don't know if he's necessarily a standalone athlete that, has that. But I think his long speed, despite the 4.43, he only kind of, like when you watched him in college, it was kind of modest long speed and change of direction ability, which I think could cap his ability to kind of create some rack or some more downfield targets just from a separation standpoint. So he isn't as an explosive play candidate as I thought Minnesota was going to try to get if they took one in the first round. And his length and stride are both good traits. They're plus traits, which is really good. And that does help him with the middle of the field stuff where he separates really well and he's kind of able to extend, not afraid over the middle. So his burst is good, just not elite. And he does well to, vary those speeds. So as a route runner, he's kind of able to deceive his speed to other players and the defenders, kind of whether the ball's in his hand or not. And that's kind of how he can gain separation. Just run after catch in general. I think he's a tough guy when it comes to this. He'll fight through contact and he can break the first tackle with his back to the defense. He has good instincts as a runner, and that allows for just the snapping of angles pretty much. Like he'll break pursuit angles. And he has a dead leg and a gear shift that he uses pretty well to just kind of get space that isn't really there. I don't think he's really running away from anyone and isn't shaking much of anyone either, which really only gets, I don't think he's going to be a play creator, but if a play is there, he can make it, so to speak. And I think at times he can be a little bit loose when it comes to carrying the ball. Catch radius, I think he's a sound player. He wins reps with quick hands on those inaccurate throws in the short areas of the field. He can win through contested catch situations when contact is just inbound, on-in, or out-breaking routes, but is not nearly as effective in jump ball situations. So, does not really have a great catch radius in regards to just downfield balls that require him to kind of jockey for that position and get vertical, and I think you could add some mass to maybe help there a little bit. I'm not sure how much it helps overall, but it certainly can't hurt. Just tracking and adjusting. He's a highly instinctual catcher of the ball, and obviously, you kind of watch him, and it's like, oh, okay, you put in hours with the good old jugs machine, just boom. So that's good. And he can, because he's developed a very quick reflex for the ball and has good flexibility and suddenness to attack the ball when he climbs up on, just quickly. and he gets his head around with just intention. He's very focused with it. You don't see many drops that way. And he will see deep balls kind of early. He will see it early, but I think he lacks, once again, that mass and strength to kind of get in great position for them, and that's not the best. His run blocking, I think he wants to, and he when asked, I think he can kind of elevate it a little bit, but generally is not all that effective of a player. He just kind of goes back to lacking mass and kind of has some technique problems to win against more NFL caliber players. So I don't think he's anything special there, but I think you can improve just because you see the want to and the will to actually do it. You don't always get that from receivers. So I think this is actually a very interesting pick just because I kind of thought if we were going to be drafting a receiver in the first round, we would see a guy where you don't question the deep speed and a guy that can make those contested catches deep down the field. So this is a little bit of an interesting pick because I think what this possibly does is Thielen has to reverse roles potentially here, and all of a sudden Thielen is probably the deeper guy like Diggs was, and Jefferson gets to take over that underneath role potentially, which is very interesting because you could look at this one of two ways. One, he doesn't fit, why did we take him? Or two, is this just a replacement for Thielen? Because he is getting older, and he's around 30 years old already. So Jefferson coming in could potentially just be the replacement for Adam Thielen. So I don't hate this idea. I am very interested to see how it works. So I would like to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Like and subscribing, always helpful. Until next time, I bid y'all adieu. Oh.